many technical problems today, so I really do apologise for this session being much later than originally planned. In today's session, we're going to be learning some repertoire from the ballet of Paquita. If I just talk a little bit about Silver Swans. So Silver Swans is an initiative of the Royal Academy of Dance, and they are ballet classes specially designed for the over 55s. I'm a Silver Swans licensee. I've been teaching Silver Swans ballet classes since the start of the Silver Swans program back in 2017. I was part of the initial pilot scheme. And I just absolutely love Silver Swans. It is just fantastic, and we have so much fun in the Silver Swans class. It's fantastic because it's open to everybody. There's no upper age limit. You can take the class according to how you feel, and it doesn't matter whether you've never stepped foot in a ballet class before or if you're an ex-professional ballet dancer. There's something for everybody in a Silver Swans class. So, as I said, I'm very glad to be here finally. Unfortunately, this morning my normal computer that I use had done an update, and the update, it turns out, had blocked Facebook from using the video camera. And there was no way around it without me completely stripping out the system and starting again. So anyway, I've got an old laptop out, which isn't the best, but we're here now. And then we had some internet problems. Our internet was down just at the start at 2 o'clock when we were due to start. So we've had quite a lot of gremlins in the system today, but we're here now, and hopefully we can enjoy a really lovely session. So as I mentioned before, today's session is going to be inspired by the ballet of Paquita. It's a ballet that isn't often linked with the, it's one that often people kind of forget about a little bit. It's very rarely performed. To be honest, more it's now used for students use it at big international competitions like Youth America Grand Prix. They love the Paquita repertoire. It's absolutely stunning, but it's very rarely performed as a ballet in itself anymore. It's a story about a gypsy girl, and she falls in love with a noble man. And I won't spoil the story for you too much, but it is really lovely. Fantastic music by Minkus. So throughout the class today, I've slotted in some tunes from the ballet of Paquita, and with that, not all the music is from Paquita. Most of it is. But there is also some other tunes like Paquita. Like there is a tune that I've just slipped in there from the ballet Don Quixote, which is also still by Minkus as well. So Paquita is set in Spain, just like Don Quixote is actually. Which if you've joined in any of my other sessions before, you may remember us doing the variation from Don Quixote with the fan. But it's less, Paquita is less of a Spanish flair really than what Don Quixote is. It's a lot more refined. We've still got, the red rose in the hair and things like that. But whereas I think Don Quixote has more of a feel of like you're walking around the streets of Spain and everybody's dancing in the streets. It's got that kind of atmosphere to it. Paquita, because it has got this links to it being the story linking to like the to like the royalty and things like that, I think it's a lot more of a refined Spanish dancing feel, but it's still very beautiful. So let's get started. Just before we do begin, please check around you that you've got enough space to safely move around in, and also check that your flooring is suitable. If there is obviously you take the lessons according to how you feel today. If you feel as though you need to take a break at any point, then please do. Make sure you've got some water with you as well. I'll try and pop in some water breaks as well. If you've got any, it would be great to hear from you in the comments actually. If you could write on, have you done ballet before? Maybe you're a Silver Swan. Maybe you danced when you were younger. Maybe this is your first ever experience of a ballet class. So please pop it in the comments because it would be absolutely great to hear from you. So we shall get started. So we'll start off with just a general warm-up. This warm-up really just gets us moving. So it's nice and easy to follow along. And hello everybody, I'm back again. Sorry, I don't know what happened. It just completely all shut down just then in the middle of that video. So we'll try again, and hopefully the internet will, hopefully Facebook will keep working We'll be on our side this time. So what we'll do is we'll just do that second warm up again. And hopefully we won't have any more problems for today. So I'll just recap over what we've just been doing. So with your feet together, we were going from our demi point to a point. We repeated that again. And then we went into our pointing and flexing. So let's have another go at that with music, and hopefully we won't cut out halfway through this time. Okay, so feet together. Okay, so going to your demi point, to a point, demi pointing down, other leg, to a point, demi pointing down, same again, demi pointing down. Now pointing and flexing, point and flex, and point and a flex, and a point and close, same again, and flex, and point and close, and a point and flex, and close. Okay, good. So that's our warm-ups all done now. Now we're going to do our first exercise at the bar, which is called plie. Plie means to bend. So you'll notice that all these terms that I'm using are in French, because ballet classes are taught, all the terms are in French. So plie means to bend. It's always our first exercise that we do at the bar. I think it's one of my favourite exercises because it's a nice, slow, gentle way just to ease yourself into a class. So before we start off with our plies, I just need to teach you some of the positions of the feet. For today's exercise for plies, we're going to need first position and second position. So if you just stand for a moment with your feet together, and now if you turn your toes away from each other, but keep your heels touching, that's called first position. So it should be a comfortable position. We don't want to turn our feet out too much. It should look about a right angle, and that's normally the most comfortable. So that's first position. Now, keeping your feet the same amount of turnout, if you just pop a space between your feet, we've got what's called second position. So first position and second position. There's 5 positions of the feet in total in ballet. We will come across another third position later on in the lesson. So second position, just take a moment to check that your feet are both turned out exactly the same. We don't want to have one foot more turned out than the other. And we don't want to have our weight on one leg more than the other. We want to be absolutely in the center of both feet, with both feet turned out equally. And that's really important for second position, especially for when we're using it for our plies exercise. So feet in first. So we want to check that we're the correct distance away from our ballet bar again. And obviously a lot of ballet is talking about posture. So one of my favorite pieces of imagery for this is thinking about a helium balloon. So imagine that your head is a helium balloon trying to float upwards, but your feet are staying nice and grounded. They're the weight. So all the time we've got this lifted feeling, and that's what gives you that really nice posture. So demi plie, all you're going to do with your feet in first position is bend your knees and stretch. I'll just turn to face the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm bending and stretching, and we want our knees to go over our middle toes. If you're struggling to get your knees over your middle toes, it's normally because your feet are too turned out. So if you just bring the angle of your feet in a little bit, and you'll find a more comfortable position. So what we'll do is we'll take 2 demi plies in first. Demi plie and stretch. Demi plie and stretch. Now we're going to take a little rise. So rising up and down. Now the height of that rise is up to you. You can go all the way up to what we call your demi point, where you've got a nice crease in your shoes. Or you can go to a quarter point, which is still a very strengthening position, but it just helps keep your ankles a bit more stable. We want to be pushing more towards our big toe than out onto our little toe, because otherwise we're overstretching our ankle. Okay, so rise and down. Now, if you point your foot to the side, we're going to go to second position and repeat it all again in second. So we're going to take a demi plie and stretch. So we're just bending and stretching, bending and stretching, making sure your legs are nice and straight for your rise and down, closing back into first. Then we'll go again, demi plie and stretch, demi plie and stretch, rising up and down. Now use your other leg to go to second. Same again, demi plie and stretch, knees over your middle toes, demi plie and stretch, little rise and down, closing back into first position. Okay, so we've got some music from Paquita for this plies exercise. Remember to keep your back nice and straight all the time whenever you're doing a demi plie. We've still got that lifted feeling like the helium balloon. So, feet in first position, and let's do our plies. And demi plie, and stretch, demi plie, and stretch, rising up, and down. Now going to second position. Check your feet are matching, and plie, and stretch, bending, and stretching, little rise, and down, closing back into first. Same again, plie, and stretch, plie, and stretch. So thinking about that nice lifted feeling, and going to second position with your other foot, and demi, and stretch. That nice lifted feeling, knees over your toes, rising up, and down, closing into first position. Okay, good. So that's your plies exercise. As dancers, we always start off with plies. Our second exercise we're going to do is what's called a battement tonjew exercise, which sounds like a really complicated step, but all it is just pointing and closing. Really straightforward. We want to keep our legs nice and straight whenever we're doing battement tonjews. So feet in first position, we'll face our ballet bar again. Nice long neck, shoulders down. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 battement tonjew devants. So basically pointing and closing to the front. So using your foot, we're going to go point and close, 2 and close. But this third one, as you close it in, I want you to close it onto a demi plie, bend, and then we'll slowly stretch your legs. Other leg, tonjew, and close, and tonjew, and close, and the third one goes to a bend, and slowly stretch your legs. Now we're going to repeat it going to the side. So as you point your foot to the side, there's an exact placement for your legs. When we're pointing our foot to the front, we want to point it in front of our hip and shoulder. It's really important this because it affects your posture. And when we go to the side, we think of an imaginary line connecting our big toes to each other. So we don't want our foot too far forward, and we definitely don't want it too far back because then it's too difficult for you to control the turnout. So big toes in line with each other, closing in, 2 and close, number 3, to a demi plie, slowly stretch your legs, other side, and close, and point, and close, and point, and relax your legs, and slowly stretching up. So we've got nice straight pulled up legs all the time in this exercise, except for then when we go to a demi plie, and then we stretch up at the end. Okay, so let's give this a go with music. So it's 3, and the third one is where we go to our bend. Okay, and tonjew, and close, 2, and close, third one to a bend, slowly stretching up, other foot, point, slide your foot along the floor, and close, and 2, closing to a bend, stretching up to the side, point, and close, 2, and close, number 3, to a bend, slowly stretch your legs to the side, 1, and close, 2, and close, number 3, to a bend, and slowly stretching. Okay, so that's your plies and your battement tonjews at the bar. Our next exercise has an even longer title. It's called a rond de jambe à terre. Rond meaning round, your jambe is your leg, and à terre is on the ground. And these can be taken en dehors, which is going outwards, and en dedans, which is coming inwards. It's a little bit like we're playing dot to dot. with the positions that we've just learned. All will become clear now. So facing your ballet bar, feet in first position. Check you're the correct distance away from your bar. Just take a moment to think about your posture as well. So we'll take a battement tonjew devant, but it's not going to close in. So we've just pointed our foot in front. Your leg is going to stay nice and straight, and we're going to connect it round to where we had our foot pointed at the side. So it's going to circle round to the side. It's going to keep circling round to the back and then close into first position. And we'll go again. So that's a rond de jambe. One, to the side, to the back, closing into first. If you had a pen in the tip of your big toe, you'd be making a capital letter D shape on the floor. Then we'll go with the other leg. To the front, to the side, to the back, closing in, to the front, to the side, to the back, closing in to first. Okay, so we'll take 2 rond de jambes en dehors because they're going outwards with one leg, and then 2 rond de jambes en dehors with the other leg. So feet in first position. Oh, sorry, actually, no, I think I'll do a slightly different setting. What I'll do actually instead, because the thing is, this music is so beautiful, we'll just use 1 rond de jambe, 2, 3 closing into first. Then we'll take a Demi Plie and stretch. Then we've got 2 extra counts. And in those 2 extra counts, I want you to think about lifting nice and tall, growing, because then it's keeping in theme with what we've been talking about so much in this session so far about our posture. Then with the other leg, to the front, to the side, to the back, closing into first, Demi Plie and stretch, and lifting and lifting. So just 1 rond de jambe, and then we've got that plie and that chance to think about our posture. Okay, feet in first. Okay, taking your foot to the front. 1, side, back, into first, Demi Plie, and stretch, lifting nice and tall. Other leg to the front, side, back, into first, Demi Plie, heels on the floor, and stretch, lifting on top. Let's go again to the front, 1, side, back, first, heels on the floor as you plie, and stretch, lifting tall. Same again, front, side, back, into first, plie, and stretch, and lifting tall to finish off. Okay, so we're going to finish off our bar work now with a step called a grand battement. So we've got that word battement, which is similar to our battement tonjew, what we did, and it's very closely related to the battement tonjew that we did as our second exercise at the bar. So for this exercise, we're actually going to do it with one hand on the bar, so we're sideways on. This is the most common way for ballet dancers to do their exercises. We tend to start off facing the bar if we're training an exercise or want more stability. Now what normally happens is a ballet dancer will perform an exercise on one side using one leg, and then we'll turn around and repeat it using the other leg. But because it's difficult to follow along with a live stream online, I've choreographed the exercise so that we're using both legs facing the camera all the time. So one hand in front of you on the ballet bar. So we don't want it going behind you, because as soon as that shoulder starts to go backwards, that's going to start to affect your posture, which in turn affects your balance. So make sure this hand is in front of you. Your other hand is just going to go onto your waist. And again, we don't want that hand going, an elbow going around the back, because it's going to start to affect your posture, which will affect your balance. So keeping your elbow pointing straight to the side and this hand in front of you. In this way, we can keep a really nice open posture with a long neck. So pointing your foot to the front, just like we did in our battement tonjew. If you can try and use your outside leg first, so your leg furthest away from your ballet bar. It doesn't matter if you don't manage to, but it just works out a little bit better for the exercise. So we're pointing. Now we're going to lift that leg, pointing and closing. So it's only a small lift. And that's a preparation for a grand battement. So it's going point, lift, point, and close. Now we're going to go into a proper grand battement. Okay, so those 4 points, so we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like counts 1 and 2 have just been connected together, and it's going to go swish, point, close. So 3 and 4 still stay as a point and a close. So we'll take 1 preparation for a grand battement and 1 real grand battement. So we'll go point and lift and point and close, then a real one, swish and point and close. Then we'll go with the other leg, point and the lift and point and close, swish, pointing, closing. Then we'll repeat it all again. So we'll go with one leg, the other leg, and then repeat it all again. Legs stay nice and pulled up. We're lifting up. Grand battements, we tend to have a tendency whenever we do one thing on one leg to sink down. So keeping nice and lifted all the time, going back to that helium balloon again. We talk about posture so much in ballet because it's so important to your balance and your ability to be able to perform a step as well. It's surprising how much having your weight in the wrong place, how it can just completely affect whether you can do a step or not. So feet in first, hand in front of you, and we'll do our grand battements. So we'll go point, lift, point and lift, close and a swish, and point and close, other leg, point and lift, point and close and a swish, and point and close. Let's go again. Point, lift and a point and a close, swish and a point, close. Same again. Point, lift, point and close and swish and a point and a close. Okay, good. So we've now finished off our bar work. So if you want to pop your ballet bars away, and we can come into the centre. Okay, so like I said, if you could pop in, if you write into the comments about whether you've done ballet before, if this is your first ballet class that you've done, it would be fantastic to hear from you. Also, whereabouts you are in the country. It'd be lovely to hear whereabouts you're joining in this Silver Swans class from today. I have popped in an earlier post by the Virtual Village Hall. There's a link to the Royal Academy of Dance's website. And in that, there's a link to, you can find out all about Silver Swans and where your nearest Silver Swans licensee is. If you want to have a quick drink of water as well, and then we'll get going in the centre. Okay, so whenever we've done our exercise at the ballet bar, our next thing is that we want to come into the centre. So we use bar work as being very much a almost like a warm up. The ballet class in general is like a giant warm up, really. We start off with our plies, and it's really nice and slow and steady, and then it gets more and more intense as we finish off with our grand battements. Then we come into the centre, and it eases back a little bit again. And then as the class goes on, it gets more and more intense again. So let me just check that this is all running fine. Okay. So what we'll do with your feet in first position, we're actually going to go and do now a battement tonjew with transfer of weight exercise. So we did talk a little bit about our weight placement when we were talking about the positions of our feet. Just like our balance, seems to be a bit of a theme with today's session, we're talking about balance and weight placement. Your weight placement is so important. So if you put your feet into second position, you want to have your weight equally in the middle. I can lean more onto one leg, I can lean more onto the other leg. But what we want in second position is our weight to be in the centre. But if you sway over to one side and point one of your feet, you've just transferred your weight there. So your centre line has shifted to being over this leg. Go back into the centre, both legs are in the middle, and you can shift your weight over to being over this leg. So that's basically like a sway in a way. Okay, so what we can also do is go into a Demi Plie in the middle and then transfer your weight over, Demi Plie, transfer your weight over. So this is all different ways that we are transferring our weight. So what we'll do is we'll just pop that into an exercise. So feet in first position, and we'll have our hands in demi-second. So demi-second is a little bit like if you imagine you have on your tutu and you've got your hands resting on the edge of your tutu. Now, if you don't really like this arm position, if you'd rather think about your feet, you can always do this exercise with your hands on your waist. It's just an option. When your hands are in demi-second, just check that they're in front of you. You don't want them behind. Again, it's going to send your weight backwards. Hands in front. And what we'll do is we'll take 2 battement tonjews to second, point, and close, and point, and close. A third battement tonjew, but this time lower your leg in second, point, and close. Same again, tonjew, and close, and a tonjew, and a close, and a tonjew. Transfer your weight, and close, keeping your weight forwards, tonjew, and close, and tonjew, and a close. This time we'll go into a little bend in the middle. Point, and close, same again, and close, and a tonjew, and a close, tonjew, plie, and point, and close. So all the time, we want to keep our weight forward. So as I said, keeping your hands in front of you really does help. We think about shortening your front and lengthening your back. Because if your weight is starting to go backwards, that's where we tend to wobble back. Your weight has to be a lot further forward actually than what you think it needs to be. It's surprising actually how far your weight does need to be over the balls of your feet. So let's give our battement tonjews with transfer of weight a go. So feet in first. Okay, and a tonjew, and close, and tonjew, and a close. Now lower your heel down, tonjew, and close. 1, and close, 2, and close. Transfer your weight. Now we'll go again, but with a plie. 1, and close, 2, and close, 3 with a plie. 1, and close, 1, and close, 2, and close. Now with your plie, and point, and close. Okay, good. So now we're going to go on to an exercise called a port de bras. Port de bras is all about your arms. The way how we're using them, it's very, very beautiful exercise. It's going to be quite a straightforward exercise. I'm going to introduce some arm positions that are going to be coming up in our repertoire later on because we're going to be learning some repertoire from the Ballet of Quixote. So, feet in first position. And we'll start off with our hands in a position that we call bra bar. So it's a nice oval shape with your hands. Want them to be about as wide apart as your face. And your elbows are pointing to the sides. Okay. So taking your hands up to first position. So your hands are now opposite your waist. From here, we'll take our right hand all the way up to what we would call fifth position. Fifth position is both hands up, but we're just going to do it with one hand. And then this hand is going to lower back down. Then we'll go the same with the other hand, up and down. So I'm not actually changing the shape of my arms at all. The movement is just coming from my shoulder. I want to keep a nice long neck. Hands stay in front of you. One hand. So my posture hasn't changed at all. Just all the movement is coming from my shoulders. From here now, we're going to take our hands out to a position called Demi Bra. It's a little bit like you're holding a tray. But we want nice soft elbows. Your fingertips are pointing straight forwards. Palm of your hand is facing diagonally. It's not straight to the side and it's not up. Somewhere in the middle. But we're going to do that with one hand at a time. So one hand, the other hand. And then to finish off, we'll take our hands back down to bra bar, to first, all the way up to fifth, opening out and finishing off there. So I'll go again from the beginning. Arms to first, right hand up, and down. Left hand up and down. One hand, the other hand. And then it's quite quick, this lift up to fifth and opening out and finishing off with your hands in Bra. So we're going to come across these positions of our arms in a moment. So this is our port de bras, which means carriage of the arms. So let's give this a go with music. Arms to first, right hand up, shoulders down and down. The other hand up, arms to first, one hand, the other hand, and one. Opening out, and we'll finish off. Okay, I'm going to have a quick drink of water, and then we'll move on to our repertoire. Oh, fantastic to hear. We've got some people who've never done ballet before. Preston, Manchester Tier 3 land, that's where I am as well. I'm up in Manchester. So, oh, fantastic to hear whereabouts you all are. Right, okay, so our repertoire, as I mentioned, this is going to be from the Ballet of Paquita. This is variation 1 from the Pas de Trois. Very, very famous dance. Really lovely piece of music. I just wondered if we could just play a little bit of the music out. So this is a piano version of it, but it's really nice. So it's a really happy, joyous piece of music. Okay, thank you. So we're going to start off facing down to the left corner, and we're going to have our feet in third position. So third, if you just pop your feet into first one moment. And if you bring your right foot in front, so your heel is going into the middle of your other foot. And that's third position. We can have third position with our right foot in front, or with your left foot in front, which is what we're going to use in this opening section. So facing down to the left corner, then we're going to have our right foot in front. And on the introduction, we're going to stand with our wrists crossed. So you're just going to cross your wrists over to show you there. Okay. So wrist cross. And you can hear in the music, as soon as it starts, we have our introduction. And then we're going to take our hands up to fifth position. From there, your hands are going to swoop down and out to a diagonal line. So we want to have our right hand down, because otherwise the audience might struggle to see your face. So keeping that back arm up highest. And then we go again, arms fifth and out. Okay, and as that leg goes out to the side, your foot is also going to point, just like we did at the ballet bar on our back Tonjew to second. So our hands are in fifth, and we're going to take it out. And as you do, you can bend that back leg if you want to. So it's like we're gesturing down to this foot. And up and out. And that matches absolutely perfectly with the music. Dum da dum bum bum, ba-da dum. Dum da dum da dum bum bum, da dum. Then closing your feet in, we'll take one hand out to Demi Bra, the other hand out to Demi Bra, just like we did in our port de bras. Rising up, and just a tiny little swap over now to face the right corner. And if don't know if you noticed there, I actually swapped my feet at that moment. So I have my right foot in front, and then I'm going to finish with my left foot in front. And we're going to repeat it all again. Hands fifth, and out, and up, and out. Okay, let's just give it a go with music up to that. So wrist cross. And fifth, and out. Fifth, and out. One hand, the other hand, and now swapping over, get ready to repeat again. And up, Okay, so we've just finished off here. And so what we're going to do is this pointed foot, you're going to go round, and I want you to go to your left. So you're going to go round to the left, keep going round, and you'll finish up in your back corner of your room. Okay? And we're going to put our hands onto our waist. At this moment now, the dancer does a little bit of a turning sequence coming down the room. Don't worry, we've got it slightly modified. So hands on your waist. So imagine that you've got your tutu there. It's just resting on the edge of your tutu. A lot of the dancers do have a red rose in their hair for this dance. We're going to take 4 walks going forwards. Try and use your right foot first. 1 and 2 and 3. But on that 4th one, just close your feet into first. Taking your arms to first. Your left hand goes up, opens out, and then goes back onto your hips. And we repeat it all over again. Right foot leads. I'm just going to move back a little bit though so you can see me. 1 and 2 and 3. Closing in. Take your left hand up. But this last time we're just going to loop round and finish back in the middle, exactly where we started before. So you want to have your right foot in front, facing down to the left corner. So we've just finished off, up and out. We went round up to the corner, and then we went into our walks. Right foot, 1 and 2 and 3. Close into first, arms first, 2, 4, and opening out. And 1 and 2 and 3, and close, up, and then we go back round to the beginning. And then we start all over again. Up and hold, and out, and hold, and up and hold, and out, and hold. One hand, the other hand, and then it changes. And we'll put the ending on in a minute. Let's have a go from the very beginning all the way up to there. So we have this opening section where we're going from 5th out to a diagonal line. Repeat it on the other leg. Then we go up to the corner for this middle section where we're taking our walks. Arms go to first. And this is actually called 4th cross, this position, with one arm in first and one arm in 5th. And then the arm opens out and we go again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. First, 4th cross. And then we go right back round to the beginning to repeat this section with the 5th and the points to the side. Let's give it a go up to there. And 1, and out, 2, and 1 hand, the other hand, swapping over to the other side, arms, 5th, and out, and 5th, and out. Let's go round, up to the corner. So you want to be up in the left corner. Hands on your hips. And 1, 2, 3. Close your feet. Arms first. 4th, opening out. 1, 2, 3. Close, lifting up, going round to the beginning. And 1, and out, and up, and out. 1 hand, the other hand. Very close to the ending now, so we'll just pop that ending on. 1 hand, the other hand. We'll just take a few walks forwards. Feet in first position. If you pop your left hand onto your hip, and your right hand is going to go up to 5th, and we can have a slight lift of our head. It feels like a bit of like an ole kind of position. But like I said though at the start of the class, it isn't like Don Quixote in the fact that it's a very strong Spanish flair. It's still a very refined feeling. So it's just a nice lift. You can have a nice little flip of your head there at the end. Bum, bum. So we've just finished off. We went out to the corner. We go with 1 hand, the other hand, a few little walks forwards, feet in first, and up, the end of our variation. So, as I mentioned, this is the variation 1 from the Ballet of Paquita. It's actually from a pas de trois. This really, really very beautiful, happy piece of music. And I really hope you can feel that as well as you're dancing it. It reflects so beautifully what's going on in the music. So let's give it a go from the very beginning all the way through to the end. And flip. And out. Flip. And out. One hand. The other hand. And swapping over. Arms to flip. And out. Flip. And out. One hand. Taking us round. Hands on your hips, right foot. 1, 2, 3, closing your feet, arms first. 4th, opening out. 1, 2, 3, closing in. First of all, going round to the middle. Let's go again. And flip. And out. Flip. And out. Now one hand. The other hand, and walking forwards. Okay, I'm really hoping you enjoyed dancing. That is such a happy piece of music. We're going to finish off now with our curtsy and cool down. So the cool down, you can just follow along with me, just like we did in the warm up. Just go over a curtsy. So feet in first position, hands in Demi second. You can pop one foot at the back on the ball of your foot. I'll just turn around and show you. So my foot is on the ball of my foot. If you don't like balancing in that position, you can always pop your foot at the back in third. And we're going to take a bend and stretch. And then pop your foot at the back, bend and stretch. If we have any men joining in today, hands by your side, you'll just take a bow and stretch. And then another bow and stretch. So we'll just pop the curtsy in as part of our cool down. Start off with your feet together, just following along, really thinking about your breathing. And breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in. And out. Feet into first. Curtsy or bow. Curtsy or bow. Okay, now walking around your room, just think about your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. And in and out. Okay, great. So I really hope that you've enjoyed your Taster of a Silver Swans ballet class today. It really is a wonderful initiative, and if you go back to a post earlier on today on the Virtual Village Hall website, on there they've put a link to the Royal Academy of Dance's website, where you can find out all information all about Silver Swans. Thank you very, very much for joining us. I'll be back next month. I'm back in November and December. So if you keep an eye out on the Virtual Village Hall, you can enjoy another Silver Swans ballet class. Okay, thank you. Bye.